Yeah.
I don't even have it up on my phone.
This is the good fire. Use
We're
that.
up? Yeah. I'm completely
Fuck, wait, we're live?
disorganized here.
Wait, we're live,
This
we're
is
live.
not even right.
And we're live.
And
Thanks
we're
for
live.
coming to Live at the Lounge.
Are we really live?
My,
Oh, shit. All
my
right.
name-
Well, Sam, go ahead and light your cigar. Welcome to Live at the Lounge.
Yeah, just take over.
Look, we are-
where are we?
We are here at Cavalier Cigar Company.
Who's
Today is
filming us?
today is Sunday, November 24th, 4 days before Thanksgiving here at Cavalier Cigar Company.
Let me do the rest.
Thank you to the
As
guy.
always, a big thanks to Cavalier Cigar Company and the Texas Media Foundry, who all of this would not be possible without.
It's the shittiest Sean Connery impression I've ever heard in my life.
Oh man. that was
Today is
fun.
brought to you by Bananas.
Banana.
Banana.
You're about to
If,
make me cry.
if this is how the show, you
How
know what?
about if
Scratch
humor-
it. Let's just
humor,
start
not
over.
Despair. Like these are
No,
my friends.
These are my friends, and I love them very much.
So
And you walked in on them ragging British accents.
you started it.
I didn't.
He talked.
I taught. Yeah, thank you for that.
We were having a discussion about how the first thing that anybody does with an accent is say, "Oh, say whatever," as the stereotypical word like banana.
banana.
Mm.
Yeah, say banana.
Only if they're white.
Only if they're white.
Then I will ask them to say something weird and stereotypical. If they're not, then I can't.
Why? Because if they're white.
Because it'd be really odd to have a person of a foreign accent say a different word in English.
Why?
I don't know. I think it'd be some racist.
Yeah, it's
or-
like getting a Mexican guy and be like, "Oh yeah, Jose, cool to meet you. Say burrito, man."
yeah, or sing cucaracha for me.
Say anything with a J.
Yeah. Yeah. Say jalapeno.
Yeah.
Jalapeno.
Yeah.
Yellow
But
pepper.
it is funny. We all speak a little bit different, but these guys do like to rag on me. So without further ado, we are
Live at the lounge.
Forgive the laughter. We're live at the lounge. It is the 24th of November.
I've already said that.
But I haven't. So I have to say.
What is it in metric?
I think it's about a quarter to Christmas.
Quarter to
I
Christmas.
think
All
that's the
right.
metric measurement. But it's the 24th of November. We are here at Cavalier Cigar talking to you guys for the next hour about everything. And we are on the verge of Thanksgiving, which it's generally at work. It's kind of just bullshit week. Nothing
The
gets
celebration
done.
of the slaughter of the natives.
Is that what it was?
Thanksgiving's such a weird holiday.
We did what?
Why don't you tell us about that? Because
No.
I thought it was where they all
got
went-
together.
They had dinner together. It was happy. There was no slaughter at Thanksgiving.
They wore the paper hats and the big boots with the buckles on it. But theirs weren't paper, it was real.
You've been watching entirely too many after-school
So what
specials.
were the origins
man.
of Thanksgiving? Did it happen like
Well,
the
that's like-
first winter in that little bay where they all landed at Plymouth Rock? And,
Honestly, I don't know much about it. I haven't spent a ton of time researching it. I just know that wasn't there a push to call it. No, that was Columbus Day. They wanted to call it Indigenous Peoples Day.
well, I could see why for that though, because Columbus was a little bit of a marauding bastard.
Well, this is around the same time period.
Fun fact, Al.
No,
Thanksgiving in Columbus.
separated by 200 years, mate.
I don't think so.
1492 is when Columbus got here.
Why is Siri fucking
I
talking to
don't
me?
know.
Are you
Columbus-
serious?
Columbus got here at like 1492.
I don't know what she
Yeah,
heard that made her start
1492.
talking.
That's when he sailed the ocean blue. So when was the first Thanksgiving?
I don't know. I'm
Had to
googling.
be
I'm
like
googling. I'm
16
googling.
I don't think so. I think it was a lot closer to that
Yeah.
time.
No. not a
Hold
fucking
on. I'm
chance.
googling.
No, because Columbus didn't even discover America. He landed in the Caribbean and got fat and happy and got drunk. at
Plymouth Rock.
He didn't land at Plymouth Rock. That was the Pilgrims.
Not that I'm going to doubt your U.S. history.
No, the three ships, Nina, Pinta, and Santa Maria.
Right?
came
So
over and
the first
landed.
I know nothing
Thanksgiving,
about this.
first
Just
har-
everything I've gleaned.
first harvest in the New World in 1621.
1621, right? So where did he land in 1492 then? Because that's a long time. That's 100 and something.
That's not
years.
part of the rhyme. It's just ocean blue, and then that's it.
It was 1492.
Correct.
Right.
Columbus sailed the ocean blue.
So what were they doing for 140 years before they figured out how to cook turkey?
Hold on. I'm googling. I'm googling.
Your history is inherently flawed by the fact that you think Columbus landed, met with some Indians, and started eating turkey. He didn't. He was in the Caribbean shooting natives.
He did shoot a lot of people.
Yeah.
Well, more infected a lot of people with
Well, it was that syphilis,
smallpox.
smallpox,
Yeah,
and syphilis.
And
And
syphilis,
that's when
but
you
the-
don't accept blankets from visitors.
The smallpox was the more horrible one.
So what
Like-
does Google say?
But real quick,
So-
going back to indigenous people, there are really no indigenous people unless you're just in Africa. everybody else migrated outward, so there really are no indigenous people to.
Well,
any
you're
other
arguing
lands.
that Africa is the cradle of life, that all life started in Africa.
Mesopotamia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was
Which,
everybody,
but are we going far enough back to where tectonic plates were in different orientations?
well, as
Well, they
everybody
were-
who's watched
they were riding
Boys in the
tectonic
Hood
plates.
knows that we're all from Crenshaw Mafia and we aren't no African booty scratchers.
What?
You've never seen Boys in the Hood? It's like the cradle of civilization's Africa, and Trey stands up and he says, I ain't from Africa. No, some guy stands up, he says, I ain't from Africa, I'm from Crenshaw Mafia, and Trey hits him. That's when he gets expelled, that's where he goes to live with his dad, that's where he meets Ricky and Doughboy, and there's maybe a generational gap there.
Our inner city consultant, Sam Smith.
Yeah.
Just like when I was a kid, like the two movies that you weren't supposed to watch were Boys in the Hood, and then there was one called Menace to Society.
And Ali G. Oh, no.
No.
I never had those movies that you weren't supposed to watch. I don't think I just watched them.
Yeah, but you had to like rent them from the video store, but you had to be like 18 to rent them. But the guy that owned
For our
the video
younger
store,
viewers, streaming wasn't the thing.
Steve might watch the podcast occasionally. He used to own a video
Blockbuster,
store.
yeah.
It's so funny because he's one of my friend's dads, and he was one of my friend's dads when we were kids, and now he's like,
think-
Steve's in his 70s, and my mate just turned 40. You know?
I think one of the problems with the current generation is they've never had to understand the disappointment of going to Blockbuster and picking up the movie you want to watch and realizing they didn't have any. The
Yeah.
box was
Or-
empty and there
yeah.
was shit behind it.
Oh, yeah, and behind it was like the little tag that says
Yeah.
like no more available.
And then you had to go check with the guy to see if he would dig
Did
through the
anybody?
returns.
Did anybody?
Oh,
drop
like
out
the
in the
bin,
returns?
Yeah.
the bin with the
Yeah,
by
you
the
gotta
little
dig
box.
through the returns to see if it was in there.
Yes. Like, or if you're standing in a queue and you hear some come in, you're like, hey man, can you check for Pirates of the Caribbean in that pile because we really want to see it.
Do you remember when Pirates of the Caribbean came out and there was a satire movie called Pirates? And it wasn't satire, it was more of an adult-themed movie. And people were
Like
mistaken...
more like an erotic reimagining.
erotic reimagining.
Right,
People
right.
were renting it instead of Pirates of the Caribbean because it looked the same.
Do you really say Caribbean?
Yeah.
That bothers me. I'm on your side. I'm going on this side for the.
You have the
especially-
wrong
especially for
emphasis on the wrong
movies.
syllable.
For the movies, I say Caribbean.
I'm going to
Pirates.
stick with the way I say it.
Well, that's
But-
how we end up with misnamed freaking movie directors. You ever shifted the emphasis around on Quentin Tarantino's name?
No.
Once you move the syllable emphasis, it becomes
Tarantino?
Quentin Tarantino, and it's far more fun to say.
Moving on.
How would he respond to that?
I'm not sure. I don't think he watches.
Mr. Toronto.
It's Tarantino.
I always
Is it?
I'm a big fan of Robert Downey Jr. and I always, in the back of my head, if I saw him and I like couldn't reach him, I would say, "Mr. Jr." just to see if he would respond or if he would get it. I think he would.
That's kind of funny.
He might appreciate that.
We're not really staying very on topic.
Do we have a topic?
Well, I want to say Thanksgiving week. Why do we even go to work this week? Because it's Monday and Tuesday, and everybody sacks off Wednesday. Everybody's on the
In,
road.
in
If
my
you want to see
business,
humanity at its worst,
travel around Thanksgiving.
or if you want to feel skinny and hot and attractive, that could get me in hot water. But I'll say it anyway. Go to Buc-ee's because it is like just what in the world has happened to petrol stations to where now Buc-ee's you can go on this travel weekend. There'll be sheriff. This is in Madisonville. There'll be sheriff in the middle of the road guiding traffic in, guiding traffic out. They literally stop the traffic lights completely and just put cops in the street to move people through. And you go in and there'll be like 400, 500, 600 cars in the parking lot.
What are they doing?
Everybody's stopping to get gas and pee and buy those little bloody knickknacks and the homemade fudge and all that stuff. And I get
Just
it.
the
It's,
amount of transit.
it's good.
Yeah, okay, I
But
thought they
there's
were
like
getting like
no,
fryers
there's
and
like a
stuff.
clean. They've
Well, what I
got
don't
clean
understand,
restrooms.
what
and
I don't
stuff.
understand is it's not like a lot of gas
They do
stations
have
went
clean
out of.
restrooms.
It's not like a lot of gas stations went
a
out of
big deal.
business when Buc-ee's open. You don't see a lot of defunct gas stations. Where the shit did all these people come from that needed gas?
Well, it's not so much gas. You see them more stopping at Buc-ee's for the treats.
Yeah, I think they're filling up early.
Yeah,
It's-
Right.
They
You-
distribution of
you
They're
take-
planning
you
their
take
road
a
trips
break.
around Buc-ee's.
Yeah.
I try to avoid it like the plague.
But
Well,
I mean,
it is
just
true. If you've had the displeasure of using a bathroom in a gas station in the middle of nowhere,
or
you're just
barefoot
Yeah.
like Britney Spears.
like, ooh,
Yeah, we
there's a
talk-
reference.
Yeah.
But the displeasure of using some random outside-facing bathroom, you had to go get the key from the clerk, and it's on like a 4-foot pole, so you don't
That
steal
pole
the
is
key.
clean. Let me tell you.
You look at the door handle and go, I didn't bring enough gloves for this adventure.
Yeah.
But no, if you think about it, it is true that everybody stops at gas stations. But if you can just take a little bit of a percentage off of everybody's trip, plus or minus maybe 20% of where they'd normally stop to get gas, or go that much further towards that, past the quarter tank
Yeah.
where they need to stop.
No.
I mean, you're just taking 20% of every gas station, and people
Dude,
will drive out of their way.
Now, if my trip's under 4 hours, I'm filling a tank before I leave town, and I'm not stopping.
Yeah.
And I don't like to stop.
Well, I'll give Buc-ee's that one thing is that if I'm going to go in and just get a soda, it's clean. It's quick.
And the selection.
Yeah, sure. I'm pissed off that they went from Coke to Pepsi.
They did?
Yeah, they have. They went from
But
all.
they still sell bottled.
Well, they still sell bottled, but like the fountain drinks, like 99-cent fountain drink, they have 4 massive fountains, and they're all Pepsi products. And there's like one Coke spigot at the end.
Well, they still got Coke. Then you'll be all right.
I know, but there's like a line.
It's not the same.
Heaven help, you got to go to the stream with a bucket or draw your own water from the well.
What is the guy with the palm frond following you waiting on you? What does he drink?
I mean, are you giving?
We're complaining about luxury gas stations, and this is the problem you have.
Are you giving your handmaiden the day off from peeling grapes today, or what? I mean,
Yes,
It's okay. I'm going to Buc-ee's.
it's got pruny fingers. So,
Buc-ee's is wonderful at 11 o'clock at night. I would advise avoiding it like the plague on Thanksgiving week.
like
But-
1 in the morning coming back from Houston, it's the cleanest, safest gas station you can stop
it's
at.
great. But why do we
It's wonderful.
still go to work Monday and Tuesday Thanksgiving week? Why haven't we just, as a society, gone? You know what? Bollocks, we're out.
I mean,
I
there's
think they
there's still
should.
work to be done. I mean,
Well, yeah, you could run a
but you
skeleton
also
crews and
but
stuff.
you come from industries like the legal industry or real estate where literally everything shuts down the week before and after Thanksgiving, and it shuts down the week before and after Christmas.
Even my former one of the science,
Yeah.
there was a lot of universities or big government buildings where people
Retail
took
facing.
their. Yeah.
Retail facing, we get busier this week.
Well, yeah.
Monday,
yeah.
Tuesday will be relatively busy for us on
And
the
then you got
service
Black
side.
Friday.
Black Friday's not big for us because we don't run a big special
Cars,
for it.
yeah.
And Black Friday's not nearly as big as it used to be because of Cyber Monday.
Good. Good.
I love those videos from 10 or 15 years ago where there's just this great big flock or this herd of people out of
getting
control.
trampled to death for a Cabbage Patch doll.
What a bunch of garbage
Tits.
individuals.
Idiots.
Yeah. But
I'm sorry, if you're-
consumerism is its finest.
Late stage capitalism,
Late
ladies
stage
and gentlemen.
capitalism. Well, the thing with my business is Monday will be very, very busy in service because people that are driving out of town
they-
will look at their car and go, "Oh crap, I need an oil change
Need an
before
oil
I drive out of
change,
town."
Yeah.
This town is a little weird because nobody comes into town for Thanksgiving; they all leave town. People are going to Houston, Austin, and Dallas. They're driving. Traffic Wednesday will be insane.
Oh, it'll be 45 minutes to get through Madisonville, just to get
yeah,
through it. Just
absolutely.
to get through it. So I just like the day before Thanksgiving, leaving College Station it's a stress. Yeah, you either want to go really early in the morning or really late at night. And just
I'll stay and leave early Thursday morning and just go to Houston.
Yeah, but you just like rock up right as the fucking meal's getting set down. You got your turkey and your potatoes. Like, right, I'm out. Cheers.
Pretty much.
That's the best way to do it, though,
Yeah.
isn't it? You know?
I'm sorry. Do you ever think about what you would do if you won the lottery?
I'd be very shocked because I don't buy lottery tickets.
Yeah.
Well, this is a turn up for the books.
So I would do a lot of good stuff, but it's also probably good that I haven't because
I wouldn't tell a motherfucking soul.
The only thing I just thought about doing if I had just a lot of expendable money would be to hire 100 people, and just whatever time that Sam was gonna leave that morning. Like if he's like, I'm gonna leave at like 5 o'clock, I would pay 100 people in their cars to like pull up and just
100
wait
Ubers.
and just start blocking whatever route he's going.
This is the most passive aggressive thing I've ever
Dude, I
heard.
would
I
get
love
so
it.
mad.
He
I would
would-
get
he's like,
so
fucking love
mad.
it.
It's 4 o'clock in the morning.
Fuck the lottery. Let's do it anyway.
I would get so mad.
And he's looking at his traffic on his phone, and there's just a black line, and as he moves, it moves along with him. I'm
You're
sorry.
messed up.
Oh, it's like the greatest flash mob ever.
That's not right, though. That's mean. That's kind of bullying.
Yeah, so
Oh,
if you have
but
an
it's-
extra amount of
If you
money
think that's
laying
right,
around,
we're starting
we are
a GoFundMe.
monitoring- We are monitoring the chat. This is an interactive podcast, so if you post up, we'll make fun of you too.
we'll make fun of you too. It's a good incentive to start.
I mean, I think so, but so fellas, because I've had an absolute hell week, which was all my own fault, which we'll get to in a minute. How was yours week? You have a good week?
I did.
You did,
I
yeah.
put that property under contract, which was good, and I say I did. I worked both sides of it. I got the listing, and then I went and found the person buying it. It's a long closing, which is fine. It's understandable. It's for a developer, and yeah, it'll get done hopefully.
It's a good week, man.
But I've also learned not to count it until somebody hands you a check and says, "Here you go." As you
Yes,
Closes
exactly.
as your week
occasionally
is
fall
not
apart.
as your not week is not going.
You know,
well.
I'm not entirely surprised. I've got a problem property that's been under contract several times now, and
4, correct?
yeah,
That's a
and,
lot.
yeah, we got a termination request today. However, there's some.
Request denied.
Nah.
You're buying it.
No. You know, it runs a little bit deeper. They want it. They found some. It's a historic building, so there's quite a lot of bits and pieces moving around, and they found some stuff they weren't overly keen on. So we might could put some kind of deal together, but it would have to be structured a lot differently. So it looks like that one's going to take a little bit longer. Still, but no, that's not why my week was bad. My pain this week was all strangely self-inflicted, and you know it's short-term temporary pain, but I think it'll be for the best because and you won't hear me praising government oversight a whole lot, but
really won't.
I think this is really what needs to happen. So the Texas Real Estate Commission that licenses Texas real estate salespeople upped the number of credit hours from 180 to 270 for the license. And I'm not sure if you did a 270-hour class or a 180-hour
I had
class.
180.
Okay, so
Buckle up, Buttercup.
yeah, buckle up because
When did they do that?
well, everything for license renewal.
Between when you did it and
yeah.
now.
So everything for license renewal was
Thanks. Jesus Christ.
is now you've got to sit that additional 90 hours plus legal 1 and 2 updates. So I went into my license renewal courses last week thinking I had to complete 18 hours. It turns out I had to complete 98 hours. So all work has ground to a halt because I got a deadline at the end of the month to have it all turned in for relicensing and stuff. So my week self-inflicted by not reading the instructions.
It was relatively funny when he figured it out, though.
There was a fiddle-dee-dee moment. I was not
Sure.
looking forward to spending my entire week plugged into my computer. But we're making good progress. We're cracking on. I've finished the first 30 hours. I'm ready. I'll test out of that tomorrow. And then as soon as I'm tested out of that tomorrow morning, we'll start the next 30 hours and keep going.
So one of the things that we had talked about on the podcast before was the perception of the real estate industry.
Oh,
and
dude,
how-
I think it's a good thing.
well,
that
the
they are-
perception of that, you know, people, when you tell people you get into real estate, they say, oh my God, what happened?
what went wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, you know,
Well, it's
how
a
many
funny
licensed
story.
how many licensed agents are there in Texas?
I don't know. There's probably 11 or 1,200 in our market right now.
and out of those, how many are active?
Very,
100?
20% maybe.
Yeah.
But the thing is, you know, it's been like,
Because a lot of people maintain the license just to maintain the license.
yeah, this year there's been quite a few people, you know, transition out of the real estate industry. It's been quite a weird
Tumultuous.
year, numbers-wise. But yeah, I think ultimately it's good. I think it raises the bar for people getting in because there's nothing worse than, and no disrespect whatsoever here at all. There's nothing worse than working a deal with a brand new agent. Like nothing worse, it just or an agent that doesn't do much, or an incompetent agent maybe, you know, that needs a little more training and stuff.
One of the 1 to 2 closings a year kind of people.
Yeah, the guys that maybe close 3 or 4 deals a year, it's a pleasure to work with the producers because everything that you submit goes to them. It's all back on time. It's all done right. You know, you're not going back and forth chasing amendments and chasing this and chasing that. It's all good. So ultimately, yes, I think the Real Estate Commission was absolutely right in mandating more hours and more qualifications and a better baseline for guys to sell real estate. I think absolutely it was right. I was wrong by not reading the damn rules and just because you know everything you click on Google is like, yeah, it's 18 hours to renew and off you go. So I even bought the course. I paid for the 18-hour course and then was getting into it and I'm like, whoa, wait a minute, where's this and where's that and where's this? And I was like, oh. Then I went back and read and it's purely my own fault for not reading. So, you know.
And
then-
procrastinating.
well, that goes back to my legal training from 2005 where I was told RTFD. I'm like, what's that mean? Read the fucking document. Like, oh, yeah, all right. And then my much more polite supervisor called it the Four Corners Doctrine. The Four Corners Doctrine, yeah. He's like, you start in the top left, and read all four corners. I'm like, yeah, so it's my own fault, but that's why I'm having a rough week this week, and maybe very, very late or absent from Thanksgiving lunch because I've got to get it done and knocked out by the end of the day Saturday.
Well, fortunately, it is a slow week in the industry.
Yeah,
You're not going to be.
There's not going to be much going on at all.
No.
No, because everybody takes this week off. The kids are out of school, that kind of stuff. So
Well, that's
it's
the
all right.
frustrating part of some of that training, though, is that it is by a competent individual could be completed in significantly less than 98 hours.
Oh, absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah.
However, you are required to sit in the course and stare at it for 98 hours, if not more.
Yeah,
It's 98 credit hours.
The 120 hours was rough. I mean, because of that, or 180 was rough because of that. You would finish it, and there was a course. It was supposed to be a 30-hour one by itself in a module, and I did it in 8. And I remember it's like, you have this many hours left.
Yeah,
you
you
have to be active on this
On the
computer
thing,
screen.
yeah.
That was wonderful.
And you're just working on other
like
shit
that.
and making sure it doesn't log out.
Well, yeah, but you can't start module 2 until you're 30 for
Yeah.
module. You can't be, you can't do 12 on module 1. Just start module 2.
Yeah.
It has to be a full 30 completed on module 1, and that does kind of bite a little bit because there's a lot of the questions you get asked are common sense, and then a lot of them are stuff that haven't been in real estate for a couple of years. It's stuff I know.
Yeah.
So it's not really like.
Well, you sent me one the other day that's heavily vernacular based, where you use
That-
it was a
that-
word.
Yeah, they're all vernacular based though. They want the exact right wording. You can't put one word when they want another, when they want a different one.
Synonyms aren't allowed.
No, you've got to know your dates exactly. Like you've got to know that in 1866 they passed a law that said everybody has the fair and equal right to buy property in America. Well, that doesn't affect my job today.
It's a well-known
They
fact.
want you to know that particular date. They want you to know the dates of fair housing in 1963 and different amendments to the law. And again, it doesn't have anything to do with what I do today.
But if it raises the barrier to entry,
It raises the barrier to entry. So obviously having a very good working knowledge of the fair housing law is absolutely paramount. But
So I do think you should be tested on that stuff, but I don't think that you should be held to memorize it.
right,
That you should
that's what I
know
was
where-
about to say. You're never not gonna have Google. So if
Correct.
there's anything I'm unsure of, I can go and use a resource and make sure of it. So
But that's good too, because there are people who don't know how to use the resources to find that, and so that's to a point where I think
it comes down to study skills.
right, and that's another thing. There are people out there who, even given the information, still won't produce the right answer, and that is, I think, where the problem is, and that's very difficult to test because otherwise you're either memorizing it, regurgitating it, and never using it, or if you understand where to get it, it's okay if I didn't know that date, or if you forget 1978 and the
Yeah.
lead-based painting. But if somebody said, "What's the date?" I go, "Give me 15 seconds
I'll
in
get
a
it
phone,
for you.
I
and I'll
pull the
give it to
magic
you."
square out of my pocket and I'll find out.
Exactly,
I know.
because you
So-
know what to type in and find it.
So I know I've got to be fair housing compliant in all my advertising.
Correct.
If I can't remember, is there a tool I can use? Put this in the advert. Boom. Does it comply?
Yeah.
Yes, there is. There's absolutely tools. I can type my advert out, send it to the MLS, and it will flag any particular words that may or may not apply. So,
Or there'll be something where it says like, which contract do you use for this contract? That's this.
yeah.
This,
Well, I think it's this one,
deal.
but it could be that one. Let me
Exactly.
check.
Let me go look
Lem-
at,
and-
and you've told me you're like, it's either gonna be this or this. I can't remember, and I go, okay, but then I found out, I go, it's this one. You
Mm-hmm.
go, there you go, and that's all you need to be able to do is get the information from your resources, and if you're able to do that, and you were saying like, I don't feel bad that you said new agents, and I don't necessarily let myself in. There's agents I've come across just recently starting that they're like, oh, I've been doing this for this many years. I'm like, you're wrong. Like, look, I'm like,
Well, I run
I'm like,
across that.
you should see this piece of
you're-
paper that says that.
I got in a bit of a tiff with another dealer the other day because there was an issue where we had sold a prepaid maintenance contract to a customer, and it's not done a lot in that brand.
Right.
And they went to another dealer, and the other dealer could not figure out how to use it. And so their standard response was that we must have done something wrong. And so the customer calls me very upset. Look, I've looked into it, everything's right. Have them call me if there's a problem. The guy calls me with an attitude. It's a local dealer. When I say local, I mean they're within 100 miles.
It's a good way to start.
Calls me with an attitude.
With an attitude.
And he goes, well, y'all did this wrong. Y'all did this wrong. I've been doing this 10 years. I said, and I got pissed. I said, look, if you've been doing this 10 years, I have bigger concerns. I said, because it literally says, if you're having issues with this contract, call this number.
Yeah.
I'm sorry that you don't know how to use prepaid maintenance, but figure it out. This isn't my problem.
RTFD.
Yeah. Well,
Dude,
and
there
the
should be
customer shows up with a copy of the contract, which they never have.
Right.
Copy of the contract. It's a fucking OEM system log in, follow the fucking instructions. They're written to lowest common denominator.
It's like
Apparently not.
McDonald's cash register with a little picture of a cow on it for
Yeah.
a cheeseburger.
Holy
car with
crap.
like fire shooting out of it. Like,
I get a call from my manufacturer rep. He's like, he goes, what hornet's nest did you kick? And I'm like, what are you talking about? And it was the service director of this other dealer calls and starts complaining about me, saying that I'm being a dick and I'm screwing customers.
Yeah.
And I sent him an email with all the documents in it. I said, it's not my fault. He doesn't know how to use the system.
Oh, I get it from time to time. I've been doing this 20 years, son, and I'm like, well,
First, don't call me son.
well, Grandpa, it's not my fault. You can't work zip forms.
Yeah.
You know, it's just a PDF tool.
Yeah, I'm gonna step up on a soapbox here for a minute.
Okay. Could we find David a box to stand on?
Yeah, a sturdy
Sturdy
one.
one.
It's yeah, I jumped in before you did, so fuck you.
I wasn't gonna say it, but as soon as you said it, I charged it.
So basically,
Double reinforced sides.
Yeah.
We always hoop over the top to stand on. Sorry, David, please. Carry on.
the way that people refer to each other. So I am young in my industry for my position, and I will run into situations where I'll deal with somebody in there.
Prince Andrew ran into a situation a couple of years ago taking someone who was a little young for the position. Several positions.
It was a
away.
young person in a position.
In a position. It was the young person in the position. Sorry,
It wasn't
carry
actually
on.
the position that was the problem; it was the age split. But you'll run into a situation. It's usually with customers and not with other professionals, where you'll get referred to as son, or you'll get referred to in a derogatory manner. Now, if it's somebody in their late 70s and they want to refer to me as son, that's just what they do.
Yeah,
okay,
that's
whatever.
fine.
Yeah.
But if I'm dealing with a guy that's 45 and I'm 31, and he's being derogatory in the sense that it's, I'll make the correction. I'll say, okay, call me son again, and we're done. And when you call it out like that, people get super, like, I guess awkward is the best way
Listen,
to put it.
son, I didn't mean nothing by it.
Well, in some very country folk, just call everybody son, or they call.
That's okay, you know.
I got a boy the other day,
Boy.
and
That's
on the
funny.
phone, and he goes, "You
Better
don't
than girl."
sound like you've been doing this a long time." And I said, "Well," he goes, "I've been buying cars a long time, boy, and I know what I'm doing." Okay, so I venture to say in the last year I've sold more cars than you've driven in your life, and I get paid a lot of money to do this. So here's how it's going to work, and if you don't like it, call your attorney.
I'll call my attorney. That used to be my favorite thing. I'm like, go call him. We'll be right here.
I get threatened with attorneys every other week, and it's just part of doing business.
I don't know. You've never been hit with an attorney. What do you do? Hold him by the ankles and swing him
You ever
around?
been so mad you hit a motherfucker with another motherfucker? Pick him by the ankles and swing him?
No, no.
Going back to the lottery thing, I would hire 100 people to come into David's office or call him on the phone and call him boy or son.
So never sell Alex a lottery ticket. She's just going to go around pranking everybody.
Just like the little things, and like David, would be like, that's the 5th person this week that has called me son on the phone. What is going on? And we would just
Just
be
do
like,
little acts of evil.
oh
Yeah.
man, we
Just
would laugh so hard.
Slight passive-aggressive irritants. like it's like you show up. It's like they say, if you break into somebody's house, don't take anything, just move shit around.
It makes me so happy, like even imagining it, just to watch his frustration and be like, tell me more.
Well, there's people at my office that'll do that. They'll go to other people's desks and they'll just move shit around.
That's kind of funny.
It causes more strife between employees. Or they'll go to somebody else's toolbox and they'll take a drawer out and flip it to where one of the other drawers go,
Ooh,
because they're interchangeable.
nice. That's
So
good.
you remember where all your shit is.
Might start swapping desk drawers out. Swap the top 2 drawers.
I get,
of these
I
desks.
get to the office early every day,
Dude.
and I unlock the media team's door
Yeah.
to be nice, so they don't have to get their keys out when their hands
Yeah,
are full.
yeah.
But maybe I've also done stuff in the office that they're not aware of yet. But we'll see.
And there goes Alex's mic.
Yeah.
Turn that.
And Alex is out of the conversation.
Good job, Crowley.
So-
I wanted to talk. I wanted to talk for a little bit
He did turn it down.
about the scenario in New York yesterday
Yes.
with the fella that had some
there was a
red
standoff.
flag law called on him for having 30-round magazines.
Well, so the red flag law, and I haven't read super deep into this because I slept most of the day.
Well, there's so many different sources on it and so many different angles to the story. Normally, you've got 3 different stories.
Watching the guy's Instagram story, he came across as relatively unstable.
Yes.
But the guy dressed up in full battle rattle.
But did he do anything wrong?
By whose definition?
The statement from the Putnam County, New York Sheriff's Office said no firearms or magazines were found.
Okay.
Right.
Well,
so-
then, if that was the situation, and I hate to say comply, but if that was the situation and somebody knocked on his door and said, "Hey, we had a report that you had oversized magazines," you could always say, "Get a warrant," or you could say, "Look, man, I don't have anything here."
Be like, it wasn't me.
Yeah,
What did
take
he
the
do?
Shaggy defense. So he dressed up in we call it
Full-
full battle rattle,
full
right?
battle
He
gear.
was in. He had a
Like,
he had a
bought it
vest
from-
on. And he was former military, if I recall correctly.
Right. Yeah.
So former military, and I found his Instagram. And it's very, very bold in his stance against
Yes.
like Sic Semper Tyrannis and stuff like that. But he was in fatigues, and he had a like a battle carrier on, which is holds all the magazines, and it's a bulletproof vest. And he was in his Instagram story. He was putting up shots of, like, he's showing, I don't have any guns or magazines on me. Look at the sheriff's department, but he's held up in his attic, and all they see is a guy in fatigues that won't come out when asked, held up in his attic, hollering things at him. So
Yeah.
the information I could find was it was called as a welfare check. That somebody said, "Hey, we think he's a little bit unstable,"
But
and they showed up and knocked on the door and said, apparently he had been, by some sort of diagnosis, been put under New York's red flag law.
right, but we've got to touch on what happened during this standoff.
Oh, it was a full SWAT standoff.
Right, so you've got SWAT on the one hand, hanging out, poking this fella in his house, for whatever reason. Should they have poked him, shouldn't they have poked him? Never mind, no worries. The real interesting part of the story is the guy had a shed load of Instagram followers. He was popular on gun forums. His username was Whiskey Warrior 556.
Whiskey Warrior.
Whiskey
Yes.
Warrior. So he had a popular following before this started. So when it did start and when he started live streaming it, his buddies that like the same things as he does, including guns, said, "Hey, you know what? We're gonna go hang out outside, and we're gonna come support our friend with
So
our
this
guns."
is his Instagram.
So what happened was,
I like that background.
well, we have over 100 armed militia showed up in case the sheriff overstepped their bounds.
But that's the problem is that the escalation was not from the sheriff's side.
No, not at
The
all. Not
escalation
at all.
was from this guy's buddies.
Absolutely.
Who took it as something that wasn't
Completely
happening.
agree. But
So
we still had a
everybody's-
point in fucking
So you
modern
now you have
America
two sides of
right
tension.
now, in today's day, where we have got a armed militia willing to stand up against.
Well, let me
the
read
sheriff.
this guy's Instagram little. You put a blurb at the top, like a bio. Mm-hmm. His bio is "Make America Defiant Again." Afghan veteran 11B, 2A, libertarian. Has picked up 10,000 Instagram followers since I watched earlier.
The one thing that we've got to be very cognizant.
He's dead now, though, right?
No.
No.
Oh, I
ended
thought
peacefully.
he was shot.
No,
Oh,
ended
okay.
peacefully. The one thing we've got to be very cognizant
His-
of, though, is we have a whole generation, 2 generations now, since 1991, has seen pretty much consistent combat, and especially since
Yeah.
2001.
Since Gulf War
We,
One, yeah.
We've seen consistent combat. So we've got guys in their 20s, 30s, and 40s that are all been in battle.
Well, no, we definitely have the largest contingent since World War II of battle experienced or military
Right,
experienced
so a
veterans.
lot of these guys are in law enforcement. So at what point are the guys in law enforcement going to say, you know what, we are not going to have a standoff with 100 armed veterans about one veteran having some magazines. You know what, we're going to let him have his magazines.
Right, but I don't think I think it may have started about magazines, but when
Right.
when they showed up and the guy wouldn't respond, and then other armed militia started showing up,
Right.
it was separate side escalation.
Right, but I am expecting a point where, if that kicked off, I would expect a point where the local sheriff would stand down and say, you know what, we're not having this, you'll go on, and the feds would come in.
I don't think so. I think that we're looking way too deep into a situation that escalated because both sides decided to escalate it. I
Right,
think
but the
that
fact that you could have
if
even
I
if it
was
was 50.
hold on, if I was in that neighborhood and I saw a couple of cops show up, and then all of a sudden all this armed militia starts showing up, I would expect more cops to show up.
I'd go and hide.
That's what I'm saying. So I don't necessarily think, and I haven't looked deep enough into this to have an opinion, but I don't think the cops did anything wrong other than the initial contact.
Right.
We have to find out what the reason. If it was truly a welfare check, where they said, we still don't know if it was about the magazines.
Honestly,
The understanding I had was it was truly a welfare check.
Dude, from what I can see, right?
Somebody called and
Escalate,
said,
escalate. All ended peacefully. Nobody died. I think from that, the sheriff deserves a round of applause.
absolutely.
Because if I've got a SWAT team on one side of the road, 100 armed militia on the other side of the road, the absolute best outcome is everybody go for a beer and have a slice of pie afterwards.
But I think
You know?
I think the overreaction was on the guy's side, not on the police's side.
Oh,
I
for
think
sure.
they had a duty to try to, at that point, to try to prevent something from going on.
What-
And if you've got armed militia showing up in the neighborhood, leaving's not the answer.
Right, but what makes it stand out to me is the fact that now we're living in a time where if shit hits the fan, it's more likely there's going to be 100 armed civilians show up to correct it, which is kind of.
But I mean, that's going back to the, we talked about this. I think it was a
Well,
couple
look at
weeks
the
ago.
look at the Louisiana Navy,
Cajun Navy.
Cajun Navy. Yeah.
Well, and this goes back to a conversation we had a couple of weeks ago, where, the original intent of the Constitution was that we didn't have a standing military. It was a well-formed militias. In the time of war,
Yeah.
they came together to form an army, navy, or whatever
Right.
was necessary. That's not really possible anymore.
No,
to have a
agreed.
country of this size and not have a standing military.
well, especially because we've got to invade all those other countries and take all their stuff.
They have
Point of
oil.
view.
They have oil.
Yeah.
It's now our oil.
Point of view.
And that stuff you need for batteries too, that lithium stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, we need to go get some of that. They need some freedom over there.
I think some of this
Elon Musk.
is, the intentional escalation, the intentional sensationalism of all these situations. You talk about Second Amendment rights and everything else. Yes, we have a right to bear arms. The question then becomes: is that a blanket right to bear arms, or because then you get into the '86 automatic weapons ban?
Yeah.
I can't, other than defense from tyrants, I can't think of any sporting reason to own automatic weapons.
Ooh, wild hogs.
Fun.
Fun.
Sure, but,
Bang,
but,
bang, 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 bang.
But let's talk about the original intent of the Second Amendment was because of the need for a well-formed militia and because of the need for defense against tyrants.
And Indians.
Sure,
I mean, no shit. There was you needed a gun.
absolutely.
I mean, but still in rural parts of the country where you're 20 minutes away from the nearest cops, you better have a gun.
But your crime rate's also significantly lower in those.
That's because
areas.
everybody's got guns.
Lower population.
Correlation, causation.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know what that means, but you're right.
People that are committing large crimes. So in Middle America, right, other than the rampant meth and opioid problem in a lot of Middle America, the crime rate, people aren't breaking into each other's houses because there's just such a low population, everybody knows everybody. You'd be like,
Right.
that's Jeff's kid from down the street. What the fuck are you doing?
Yeah.
And the people that are in the cities committing that crime aren't driving to the country to commit a crime.
No, because you've got all that extra petrol to think about. It's hard to carry a television 6 miles.
TVs have gotten lighter.
That's true.
The advent of cheap DVD players.
If I put if I put my hands up, you got me on destruction of
Is that
property
what they're
too.
really stealing though? I'm actually really interested to see what people are stealing now compared
It's
to
jewelry. It's jewelry.
I was going to say
Jewelry
things
idea.
and, jewelry and technology,
things of
laptops.
things of monetary value. I don't think TVs would be a
I
prime
wouldn't
thing. I think it would
no.
be cell phones.
I wouldn't steal a
laptops,
phone.
iPads.
I wouldn't steal an iPad because they've all got find my iPad, click, 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 boom, done. I mean,
Well, but
Yeah.
the cops also aren't going to go raid a house to get your iPad back.
no, but I will.
Why? Get Apple Care, motherfucker. We're gonna do one.
Yeah, good point.
Yeah. $9.99 a month.
Maybe
For,
Apple's hiring people to steal them and then
I
cashing in on the
doubt that.
I
insurance.
doubt that.
maybe a reach, but $9.99 a month is worth more than me. A $500 iPad is worth more than me than trying to go stage an invasion to get my fucking iPad back.
That's
like-
true. That's very true. So
But if you use that AR-15 you have,
yeah, you
it's
can
gonna
get it back
be a
for
lot.
free.
It's gonna be a lot more fun.
No,
Like,
why, hello, yes, I'm here for my iPad, please.
yeah, more fun.
Yes, put it in the.
I don't
Actually,
cons-
actually
I
let
don't
me get those
consider
other
that as
iPads too.
An
I'll
armed
take that
stand-
cash
no,
as well.
An armed standoff to me doesn't sound any type of fun.
No.
So
It wouldn't be.
Talking of fun, right? Talking of fun, which one of you two has gone on the Tesla truck configurator and paid $100 to reserve one of the new Tesla trucks?
I believe that's a troll.
I
And here's
fucking
why.
love it. I think it's the.
Here's why.
I think it's amazing.
So look at the
It's a fully refundable $100,
yes.
unlike their other models.
Well, and that's what I'm saying. I think it's a troll. But if you look at the skeleton shape of the car that they show on their configurator, the door openings and everything are much more contoured than the exterior of the truck makes it appear. So I think that they've built a unibody and they put this isosceles triangle around it.
Just to fuck with people.
Well, I haven't
Like
been
the
able to
Sonic
confirm
the
this.
Hedgehog movie. Do it really, really bad. Everybody goes, wow, that's really bad. But
Well, they
actually,
paid $30 million to reanimate that movie.
Did they?
Yeah.
That's a lot.
They pulled it, reanimated it, re-releasing it.
But he
I
looked like a
would-
little monkey from Jumanji.
I would love one of those trucks, man.
Well, but
The more I
everybody,
look at them, the cooler they are.
the Sonic thing, everybody keeps saying, everybody better go watch that fucking movie. They cyberbullied a studio into spending $30 million to reanimate a movie. And if nobody shows up and it bombs,
I mean, I'm not going to go watch it.
I'm not either, but I didn't cyberbully them into reanimating it.
John says our stolen electronics are going to show up at a pawn shop.
Porn or
Okay.
pawn?
Pawn. P-A-W.
Pawn.
Okay.
Like prawn without the R.
Pawn.
Pawn.
I can't say that word.
So
I can't.
the Tesla truck thing, if you look at the dates, it was
I love
11
one.
11/21/2019,
Yeah.
which supposedly is the date from Blade Runner when everything goes to shit.
Ah,
Supposedly.
I haven't watched Blade Runner recently enough to know.
I don't remember that. Yeah, it's been a long time since I watched that.
But look at Tesla's previous releases. They've done a very good job from a design aspect.
Well, the concept picture that was floating around
Super cool.
it was awesome.
Yeah.
Man. But look at the statistics on it. $80,000 to go from 0 to 60 in under 30 seconds.
Okay.
In a
In a
truck.
truck.
Well, but you say in a truck, but it weighs the same as their Model S does. It's just shaped differently.
I
Can you
love it.
imagine all the stuff like flying around in the car, like shooting to the back?
Suck, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I mean, go hop in the Jeep. I'll show you what all the shit that flies around is.
yeah.
But I think that the technology is there and the stats are real. But I think in the next year we're going to
They'll
get a
redefine that body.
re-release.
Yeah.
Because if
yeah,
you
like-
look at the disclaimer, they're not expecting the first release until mid
It's late
2022.
2022, I thought.
Yeah, and then early 2023 for the tri-motors.
They said they've had like,
180,000.
it was 147 earlier today, but 180 was
I think it's up to
surprising.
180,000 pre-orders. And they're talking about how it's a commitment of this many billions of dollars in spend, but it's really not. In fact, I think Tesla's stock went down after the release.
Yeah, they did. It
'Cause all the
did. It
shareholders
dropped
looked at-
dropped about 6%.
Yeah, all the shareholders looked at it and went, what the fuck is that?
You know,
I don't
just-
think it would ever pass crash test ratings the way it's shaped.
Probably not, because it would jack up a pedestrian.
Well, and that's the thing.
Yeah,
Pedestrian
where's
safety
the front? Where's
standards.
the front crumples on? Where's
Yeah.
the front crumples on for pedestrians?
Well, that's the same thing with Volkswagen's bus.
Yeah.
One of the big, questions is, are they ever going to release it in the shape of a real, cab over front?
Yeah.
Because it'll never pass pedestrian safety standards in Europe.
Well, yeah, it'd be really, really hard to pass crash testing with a cab over front bus because the crumple zone is right there. There's nothing
It's
in
the
front
face
of
of the driver.
Yeah, you know.
And in medium duty and commercial, it's not as required to have safety ratings. 18-wheelers are not safe. They're fiberglass boxes on steel frames with 70,000 pounds behind you. It's a problem. I don't know, Tex might have the information on this, what the survival rate of major 18-wheeler crashes for the drivers are, but I can't imagine it's very low because they make the cabs as lightweight as possible to add to the cargo capacity.
That makes sense.
Well, that's one of the issues with Tesla's trucks. So they're seeing Tesla trucks, the 18-wheelers, out testing, running mountain passes and stuff like that.
That's awesome.
But the battery weight with current technology means the damn thing's only going to haul like 25 or 30,000 pounds
yeah,
versus the
18
80 that it's touted.
Yeah.
You've got 50,000 pounds of the batteries.
Yeah, but you could add additional batteries under the trailer.
Or put a trailer of batteries behind it.
But there's still a gross combined weight rating of it's around 80,000 pounds. Isn't it?
80,000.
80,000 is the limit before you get into heavy load and oversized.
You could like fill it with feathers.
But then why are you shipping
or
feathers?
helium.
Yeah, fill it with helium. That would make it lighter.
You didn't think about that, did you, David?
You know what?
Put
You're right. I
balloons in
didn't.
it.
Considering we have a helium shortage ongoing right now.
You didn't think
It's
about
like
that.
poor use of helium.
I know all about cars, but didn't think about helium.
Add helium balloons to the Tesla.
All right, dirigibles. Do we have any
I think that honestly, I think he's missing $1 billion marketing opportunity by having a cologne called Elon's Musk. I think that would sell incredibly well.
I love the fact that the biggest troll they've done to date, other than the truck, is the names of their models.
This is sexy.
The sexy Model S, Model 3, which backwards is E, Model X, and Model Y. So on their website it says sexy across the top.
I did not know
and
that.
you can't. They wanted to do Model E, but Ford owns it, and they
Yeah.
won't sell it to them.
Yep.
Oh, talking of Model E's and Ford and
Mustang.
shit, the Mustang this week, the four-door electric
You know what?
Mustang crossover.
Good on Ford.
What is it look like?
fucking love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
Ford
It
released
is-
Ford
love it.
released the Mustang Mach E, which
It's
is an all-electric Mustang small SUV.
small
Yes.
SUV.
And it's actually
But
a pretty good looking car.
It reminds me a little bit, a very little bit, of a BMW X6 in the shape,
Yeah.
the shape of the
I like
roofline and
those.
stuff.
Sportback design.
I think
I like
they
those.
absolutely killed it. So you're gonna have mid 3 second 0 to 60s,
Yep.
400-mile range,
Yep.
and it's
Mid 3
affordable.
seconds, 0 to
Yeah.
60s?
It's affordable.
Yeah. It's
Sign
supposed
me
to be
up.
like 40 grand starting price.
I mean, sign me up. It's all electric, 400-mile
and
range.
they have the network to support it, and that's
What-
the big difference.
What we've
Tesla
really
does not?
No,
no,
so
they don't. They
here's
don't
the
have
issue
a
with
dealer
Tesla.
network. They don't have a service network. They got nothing.
Well,
They just got
and I've
shops.
said for the last year that Tesla's big downfall is going to be the big three getting online with electrification, because their dealer network does one thing. Even if it's not from a sales perspective, it's a service perspective. If you live in Bryan College Station, you'd have your Tesla serviced.
Right.
You have to call them. They come up from Houston and pick it up.
Right.
There's one, maybe two service centers in Houston that are allowed to do it. And I don't know what the current wait time is, but it wasn't very quick the last time I looked.
You
Why
know,
don't you open a service center in
You
Bryan?
can't.
you can't.
They are all owned by Tesla. Elon will not license or franchise anything.
Come on,
Tesla.
Elon, I'll do
Come
it.
on, dude. Now,
Well, that's why you still cannot buy a new Tesla in Texas. So they're
What?
if you go to the
you
Tesla
can't buy a
showroom,
new Tesla in Texas.
no,
Why not?
Tesla is not because they
They'll
will
tell
not
you.
franchise. So Texas has franchise laws. There is no direct-to-consumer sales allowed in automotive. So if you go to a Tesla showroom, which is their boutique, which they're shutting them all down. I would think over the next 2 years they're shutting all their showrooms down.
Okay.
If you go there and you look at the car, they're not allowed to offer test drives. And if you want to buy one, they say, okay, you go to those computers over there, and they can't help you do it. You have to go onto the website and order everything through the website. Then the vehicle is shipped through, I think it's still through Oklahoma, to where the vehicle is direct shipped, but it's titled as a pre-owned. They're not titled on what's called MSO, which is Manufacturer Statement of Origin. So new cars don't have titles; they have MSO. They look like titles, but they have the manufacturer logo on the top. They have the statement of VIN number, statement of emissions compliance, and that is turned into the state to have a title issued. So Tesla cannot issue an MSO in Texas because they are not a licensed new car manufacturer in Texas.
Okay. What does that mean?
Have it
That means to buy a new Tesla, they could not have. In California, you could walk into a Tesla showroom and buy one
and leave with it.
and leave with it. In Texas, you cannot. They have to ship it to you.
So, you know, but going back to the Mustang, sorry, you know,
And that's
yeah,
Elon's resistance to allowing any franchise.
exactly. They could have called it by a different name, sure, and taken the Mustang nameplate that's been sacred for all these years. But you know,
Sacred bullshit.
I think
Mustang 2.
we need to move with the times. And if you'd have asked me 10 years ago, would I consider an all-electric car? I'd have said absolutely not, with a 200-mile range and a Chevy Volt kind of deal going on. But you ask me now, and I'm looking out, right? So I've got a Jeep Grand Cherokee, and it's done very well for me, and it'll continue to do well for another couple of years, 100,000 miles or whatever, until we get rid of it. And you know, I think my next car, I always thought would probably be a BMW again, get back in one of those, or even another Grand Cherokee. And the more I look at the evolution of electric vehicles that's happened just in this year, I could see me owning an all-electric car within the next 5 years.
So
I could actually
I
see
could
it.
absolutely see that as long as there's a backup gasoline vehicle. So
Yes.
the issue is distance of travel and power grid.
Let's say I've got that figured out. See, what you do, right, is you get a little windmill and you stick it on the
Shut
top of
up.
the car. Then as you're driving,
So-
it turns and it charges
Perpetual
the battery.
motion.
Exactly.
Sam
just
does
keeps
not
going.
He didn't think
understand
about that either.
No, he
Sam,
doesn't.
Sam does not grasp the
Helium
laws of
balloons,
thermodynamics.
Perpetual
Yeah.
motion fans.
Sam has never grasped the laws of thermodynamics.
I have
But-
a grasp of the laws of thermodynamics. I also have a grasp on the laws of making people smile just a little bit, envisioning a Tesla with a windmill on the back.
Unless somebody else is paying people to block you in traffic.
There was a Jalopnik article, I think it was Jalopnik or Car and Driver, where they towed a Tesla behind a vehicle to charge it using the regenerative charging.
That's cool.
And they were showing that the overall impact was lower because the fuel economy change of the vehicle towing it was outweighed by the electricity.
Yeah, you're
produced.
always going to lose
Yeah.
power. There's no way to break even.
Well, and that's the interesting part for me with electrification is the significant change it's going to make to the automotive industry, as well as the significant change it's going to make to the secondary and tertiary markets.
Yes.
Because right now, there's a very strong about 4-owner cycle for most cars. You have your primary new car owner, you have your secondary used car owner. Then it changed the tertiary market, which
Buy here,
is
pay here.
no, tertiary still tends to be, with newer cars being more reliable.
What about
the
50, 60?
70, 80,000 miles,
Yeah.
where you're still seeing them sold on new car lots,
Yeah.
and they're still reliable enough to get another 20 or 30, 40,000 miles out of. Then the fourth owner market is where you start to get into either they've got 150,000 miles on them. They're either going to be a cash only buyer or they're going to be a buy here, pay here
Buy here,
type
pay here,
buyer.
yeah.
The problem with electric vehicles is that their ownership costs, their repair costs, go up with age,
True. Yeah.
and they don't change because you can buy. Like Tesla's big problem, or one of them, is they do not allow part sales. So nobody's really gotten after them with Right to Repair Act yet, but they have actively tried to crush anybody that tries to fix them on their own, like opens a shop.
There was that guy that's doing it online that
Yeah.
has a shop, and he was on Joe Rogan's podcast.
Yeah.
But
He's
where
buying all the wrecked ones he can buy to create a parts stockpile.
right, there's people who are doing they buy the salvage ones, and they'll if they got flooded or anything else, and then as long as it didn't make it inside the different cases on
Well,
different
and a lot
wiring
of what
harnesses
he's doing,
broken and,
a lot of what he's doing is interior parts.
Yeah. that's-
Stuff that can be cleaned that isn't affected by
Yeah.
flooding. It's the batteries are fried, the controllers are fried, but your body parts,
Your interior trim, your body panels,
your
everything.
body panels,
Because
interior
they've got to get
trim,
fender benders.
Yeah.
How do they fix a fender bender with a Tesla?
So you have to go to a Tesla approved body shop, which I don't know. I haven't talked to any body shops that have fixed them here. But when you get into electric vehicles, there's master plugs and stuff you have to pull. And there's certain things you have to consider. The Priuses, the early ones, had an issue where if they were repaired in a body shop, they were air-cooled batteries. And so they had a vent intake behind the passenger seat, and then they had a vent exhaust out of the car. Well, when they were using them for livery, like taxis, they were getting clogged up with pocket lint and dust and stuff like
for
that.
sure.
Well, body shop stuff, depending on the conductivity of the materials, were causing shorts inside the batteries. So you had to be considerate of blocking the vents for the battery, and then there's master plugs. And if you have to take the car apart, you have to know how to discharge the capacitors. You have
I was going to say, touching a capacitor on one of those things will knock you into next week.
well, and
Got it wrong.
DC. I've seen guys arc. I've seen a guy arc a EV to the point it was behind the fused connection, and that wrench very quickly turns into a light bulb because
saw
the discharge rate's so high.
A buddy of mine discharged a 460 volt capacitor on his finger, and it went in there and it went out there and it made a burn scar all down his face. Probably still got the scar there. You could see where the electric. Where it knocked him on his ass.
Yeah.
It knocked him right on his ass. And I was like,
So I've taken
you
apart.
okay? Hello?
So, one of the things that Toyota did is that their hybrid batteries are a collection of smaller, lower voltage cells connected in series.
Right.
And they are repairable. There's a secondary refurb market where you take the case apart. Usually it's just dirty bus bars or it's one individual cell that has failed. And you replace the cell, clean all the bus bars, put it back together, and
It's kind of like forklift batteries then.
right.
Yeah.
Well, Tesla's battery uses, if you've ever seen the inside of a Tesla battery, they use what look like a little bigger than AA, smaller than C cells.
You ever seen inside a Tesla battery? Wow.
They use they're a little bigger than AA, a little smaller than C cells.
Who the fuck's looked inside a Tesla battery? I mean,
Go online,
Google
look at
it.
all this stuff. Yeah.
I googled it. It said it sucked.
Well, they're a Panasonic cell, if I remember correctly.
How funny would it be if Google one day, like anytime you typed in like a search,
said,
it's just
"You
like
suck."
it's like you suck, and then like it goes away and like starts over, and you're like, what was that? And then you
One of
just
my
don't
favorite
see it
links for a
anymore.
long time was you could do a tiny URL with the "Let me Google that for you." Where
Yes,
somebody
the
asked you a
tiny
dumb
URLs.
question, you could send them a link to it, and what it did was it opened a Google page and
It
typed.
types in automatically.
And they gave them the
And then it's like, see, that wasn't too difficult, was it?
That's awesome.
Yeah, I
What?
think it's still up, but it's
Well, one of my favorite websites I saw the other week, and it's been taken down now, was ifuckedmysister.com.
What?
And it redirected straight to the University of Alabama's homepage on the website. I think it was up on Reddit, and then I think they got a cease and desist, and it went away.
Probably.
But for the two, it was right after A&M played them. It
Yeah.
was right after A&M played them, so I don't know if it had anything to do with that. But it was, ifuckedmysister.com, straight to the University of Alabama's homepage. I thought that was a very good prank.
solid. Back to the EV thing.
Yes. And the new Mustang.
Yeah.
I want one, sorry.
Well, with Volkswagen, one of the things we're looking at so Volkswagen currently doesn't offer electric cars in the state of Texas. They offer e-Golf in California, New York, New Jersey, Oregon, Washington, basically in the high electrification urban areas, you
The
can buy
hippie
them.
zone.
Yes. And I get probably a call a week to the store asking if we can service them. Like, can we fix them? Well, currently, no dealer in Texas that I'm aware of is actually set up to fix them.
Good.
Oh.
What happens is, this is what we tell people, we can fix them. But you drop the car off with us. We call the field service engineer. That guy comes out from Houston, looks at the car, diagnoses it, brings all the tools with him,
Right.
then orders parts that have to come out of one of the warehouses in California or up north, comes back in a week and fixes it. I'm like, it's about a 2 to 3 week process.
That sounds like a massive pain in the ass.
It is. Now we can do tires and stuff like that on them, but
So the biggest obstacle to electric cars, from what I'm hearing,
is the training.
electrical infrastructure,
Yeah.
and then training the guys and the repairing and servicing.
Well, I think we're sending our guy in December or January.
You've got to remember, though, this is new. And it's going to take 2 to 3 to 5 years for people to start really adopting these electric
Well, it's-
cars. And in that 2 to 3 to 5 years is when you are going to train up the technicians and,
So
build the infrastructure.
when the F-150 came out in 2015, the redesign,
Yeah.
and it was an aluminum body. It was the first major production
I love how you say aluminium.
Aluminum.
aluminum. When the aluminum body F-150 came out, it was the first, other than some of the exotics, like I think Range Rover had some aluminum body.
For those that don't know, aluminium and aluminum are the same metal but spelled 2 different ways.
It's really
that's
weak.
why they're
It's weak,
pronounced
though, it
differently.
bends.
It's weaker. Sorry, please carry
Highly
on.
malleable.
I love that word, malleable. Mines for molding.
Yes.
I've been substituting at School of Rock.
one of the characteristics of metal.
I've been introducing myself as Mr. Schneebly.
That'd be funny if you started doing like for metal stuff for rock, but term it with the characteristics of metal.
Sorry.
Like malleability, luster.
When that came out, a lot of body shops had to refit and create areas, specifically Ford licensed ones. You had to create a separate work area for aluminum because you couldn't share. You had to buy all new tools. You had to buy different welders. You had to buy different, like, you couldn't even share hammers because the issue was galvanic corrosion. So if you hammer on a steel body panel and hammer on an aluminum body panel, you can create corrosion that doesn't show up for months, and then the paint starts bubbling. So it was a big cost investment to set up. Any Ford dealer that had a body shop had to build new facilities specifically to service aluminum.
That's crazy.
Fortunately, ours had a storage area we were using, and that we cleaned out the storage area, refit it, and created that as the aluminum shop.
Well, nice. Before we finish, though, I want to touch on my time teaching.
Please.
So, at 17, so to back up, at 12, I was selected for some reason into this music program that my older sister was part of, and my parents thought was great. So, as a 12-year-old, it wasn't so great because it meant I had to go to school every Saturday. But as a 17-year-old, it meant I'd got enough bits of paper to teach music. So, at 19, I came out to America on tour, playing drums and stuff, and I set up teaching music to make extra money. And I always had a passion for teaching, a passion for music. And they opened a School of Rock, and I get to substitute teach up there, and it's the most fucking rewarding thing. And you're back. I'm dealing with 8, 9, and 12-year-olds, and they don't bring their drumsticks, and they don't bring their homework, and I'm teaching them the same thing over and over. But man, when they get it, when that light switch goes on and they play the particular fill from, I mean, like the one we worked on yesterday from Paranoid, it's just dun da 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 da. But to be able to get the stick
just that?
speed,
Yeah.
It's pineapple, Coca-Cola tea. But
What?
You say little words to help you count. So, but to get the stick speed to be able to do that, we had to go right back to the beginning with this kid. A few weeks ago, I've had him now, and we had to correct his grip, and then we had to correct his stick control, and then there's certain things coming through. We had to correct his counting and help him count that out. And then, like yesterday, after we worked on it like 3 weeks, he got it and he nailed it. And for me, the joy of teaching actually is starting to surpass the joy of making money, which is quite worrying because I really like making money. But I may have a future career after I sell a couple of companies as a drum teacher. I'm really missing. I really like it. So there you go. That's it. I don't know where I was going with that. I was just going to say how absolutely fucking rewarding it is
Well, you get that same
to be able to switch lights on in kids' heads and have them get it, and watch the reaction when they do get it, and then high five them.
I get it. I mean, I get that same reward to a point when you're teaching somebody to do something new. When we're training new salespeople.
Do you chop the newbie's tie off when he sells his first car?
No, because we don't require them to wear ties.
Oh,
Was that a thing?
Oh yeah, it's
Yeah,
very
yeah.
much a thing in my industry.
yeah. When they sell their first ever car, they'll cut their tie off. Yeah.
Well, and it's,
I would be like, my grandfather bought me a tie. He's dead.
well, we'll
Tough
tell
shit.
them we'll tell them we're cheap ties if we're doing it.
Oh, okay.
Wear the cheapest tie you have, or go to Kohl's and buy a $5 tie.
Yeah.
I would do it myself. So I'd be like,
Suck it, David.
But it's kind of a rite of passage. But it's enjoyable to watch them get it, and it clicks in their head like. So there's a cycle that new salespeople go through, and you'll probably see it in your industry on a little longer timeline, where for the first 30 days they are sponges. They'll pick up anything you want to tell them.
Mm-hmm.
For the next 30 days, they're implementing whatever you tell them, and then days 60 through 90, they think they know fucking everything,
Everything.
and they fail miserably.
Yeah.
And then typically day 120 and on, they start to realize, okay, I still have more to learn.
Yeah.
Because you don't know what you don't know.
Right, but that happened to me in Tidal. You know, I was desperate to do this and desperate to do that and desperate to do the other. And then when I finally got my first full sovereignty run sheet and finished it, it was great. And then I got another one, it was great. And then I got another one. And I went to my supervisor, I'm like, hey, I want to do something else. I've done these. He just laughed at me. He's like, you've got a good 5 or 6 years on these at least before you move to the next step. And I'm like, what the fuck? But he was right, you know, and you need that experience, and you don't realize that you need it when you first start out. It's the same in anything, even in drumming. You know, the kids, they think, oh, I've got it. Well, I'm getting tired. Why can't I keep going? I'm like, because your grip is wrong, your stick control is wrong. You know, so we need to go right back to the beginning and fix this first. And it's the same in any business. If the fundamentals aren't there.
One of the things you told me the other day was you ran into somebody that was learning something on guitar. And they said, well, I don't play it that way. I play it this way because it's easier.
Right.
Well, do you want to fucking learn it or do you want to improv? Mm-hmm. You know, shortcuts or pay cuts is one of my favorite lines. And when you're learning something as a hobby, do you really want to learn it or do you just want to be able to make noise?
For me, at guitar, it's a case of if it sounds good around the fire pit,
Yeah.
I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
Now, when I'm practicing it myself at the house, I want it right. I want every note in the right place and stuff. But at the end of the day, music's live.
Yeah.
In that split second, it's gone. If you mess up that note, don't
Move
go
on.
back and try to find that note. Go to the next phrase in the entire passage and pick the next phrase up. And a lot can be said the same for business. You know, especially with the 2019 that we've had, hasn't been the best year.
It's been a great year if you look at it from the things that you've learned from it.
Learned, yeah. I'm gonna,
Oof would be a good description.
Oof is a solid description.
2019.
I've had a pretty phenomenal 2019. I'm stressed in the moment, but if I really look back at the progress made in 2019,
yeah.
it's been a
I mean,
phenomenal.
just look at the
2019.
progress we've made, everything we've learned, everything we've put together. I mean,
It's just
2020
it's not catchable.
2020 is stacking up to be phenomenal.
Yeah.
But it's just
Yeah.
like there's just been this huge fucking great learning curve that says, go back to the fundamentals, make sure the fundamentals are still operating, and then just keep stacking on top of those fundamentals.
Honestly, if there's anybody out there who thinks they're too old to switch professions or to try something new,
Never too old to start
You're
something
never too old. I literally jumped ship out of a completely different industry, unrelatable. The only thing relatable were some very core basic skills like communication, using a network, sales, some experience with that, but completely different industry. And it's been rough and trying to get things, but you know, find people that are gonna
It's starting to
you
click,
know,
man. It's
starting to
come.
click. But then if I look back, like you said, on the year as a whole, I'm not as stressed, even though I should be. I'm stressed about different things, but
Right.
my stress is not coming from work.
Right.
And it's not from being overburdened with people complaining and like problems
Well,
like
and
that.
it's taken you 6 months, but as far as I'm aware, you've got a relatively busy, active pipeline now.
Yeah.
But it just takes time to build up. So anyway, it's about time to wrap this Dog and Pony show up. I want to say a quick thank you to Cavalier Cigar for having us out here, and of course, thank you to David and Alex for being on this show. And a massive thank you to the guys at Texas Media Foundry for putting this out on Facebook and on YouTube. We are simulcasting on 2 different platforms today. If you guys need
Is there a second
video,
eye on
they're going to
simulcast?
be they're going to be hanging out over the next couple of weeks. There's not much going on between now and Christmas, so they are looking for clients. If you've got anybody who needs video, holler at those guys. And on that bombshell, ladies and gentlemen, it's time to end. We will not see you next Sunday.
Nope.
Be safe driving, travel safe,
Yeah,
enjoy
we'll be.
Thanksgiving, spend some time out, and we'll see you all in 2 weeks live at the lounge. You'll have a great night. Thanks for watching.